Hello everyone and welcome back to Japan Soul Traveler. Today I think I'd like to talk to you about something different. I mean, of course it's about travel and about Japan, but I want to focus on something that is more like a suggestion to better experience the travel to Japan, any country actually. Today I want to talk to you about how to be a respectful traveler. First of all, I think that one of the things that everyone should remember is that when you travel abroad, you are leaving your home and you are entering someone else's home. So you are a guest, and as such you have to remember to respect the place where you are going and the people there. You should, of course, try to understand something of the place that you are going before you go there, and to understand that maybe some behavior that are totally normal in your home, in your house, in your town, in your country, in your culture are not the same in other places, and maybe they are sometimes seen as something funny but also as disrespectful and annoying. I think that a general tip when you travel is to be very careful, yes, very careful of the place that you're going, and very kind once you are there. So very delicate when you enter another place, when you enter another culture, and even if you're there just to have fun, to really understand that there's something different in that place that require your attention. So when speaking about Japan, of course, I think a lot of you know that Japan is a very, how to say, a very well-behaved country, and people are quite nice, and they are very even helpful with you when you arrive there as a stranger. But as much as Japanese people are nice and welcoming, if I can say that, I think that it's a very demanding country. In that I mean that there are rules, and that even if you are a foreigner, you are expected to respect that rule and to comply with that rules. So behind the stereotype that sometimes pops to your mind when you think about Japan as a very rigorous country, it's very important to understand that, first of all, Japan is, yes, is a place where rules are important, and Japanese people respect rules and etiquette, and so there are some things that you definitely should not do, and something that you should remember it's important to do. One of the first things that I feel it's important to remember, because I come from a very loud and very noisy country, it's to be quiet. You shouldn't be loud, you shouldn't be screaming around, you should not be someone that talk on the phone non-stop and that laugh so loud so that all the city is forced to listen to what you are to say. When you are on the train, for example, on the subway, on the bus, in public places, there are very huge signs that will tell you to keep the phone down, keep the phone without ringing tone, don't talk at the phone when you are in specific coach in the train. So this is extremely important, and you have to remember this wherever you find yourself in Japan. The second very important tips that I feel to share with you is respect the queue. Japan is popular, often teased, because there are queues everywhere you go, at the station, at the bus stop, at the, I don't know, McDonald's, at the pharmacy. Everywhere you go, you have to stand for a significant amount of time, sometimes in a queue, and wait for your turn. You have to wait. There's no way around it. You cannot cut the queue, you cannot go around and pretend you don't understand what that means because you're a foreigner, because of course that's kind of a universal behavior. You have to stay there and you have to respect the queue. Another thing that I think applies to mainly the big cities, but of course I think any metropolis in the world, any modern city in the world, is to be careful and not obstruct the escalator. Again, yes, being Italian, this is a very important point, because there is a kind of a habit here to use the escalator as if you can stay there and chat. When you are in Japan, you keep the proper side when you are on the escalator if you don't want to rush up, so you can leave the space for the other people that are actually rushing to have their way and make their way without you obstructing it. Another thing that for me wasn't actually a problem, because I'm not a smoker, but it was for some of my friends, is smoking location, especially in Tokyo, but also somewhere else in the country, usually around the whole country. You are not allowed to smoke in the street while you're walking, and you have to wait until you arrive to a proper area, which is indicated with the floor sign, where you can actually stop and where there are ashtray and you can smoke there. It's a way to prevent you from throwing cigarettes around and from bothering people that don't want to be around smokers. So this is again a very important attention. It is a very important behavior to keep wherever you go to Japan. If there is a place for smokers, then you can go. Otherwise, I'm sorry, you have to wait. On the other hand, there are plenty of bars and restaurants and cafes where you still can smoke inside. In Italy this is forbidden, there are no place inside where you can smoke, while here in Japan, you can smoke almost everywhere there is a corner for smokers, so this is a plus, I guess. The next one I think goes hand in hand with the smoking problem, and it's don't throw rubbish around, don't throw rubbish in the street, and respect the separate collection of garbage. Japanese are very strict about this. When you rent a house for the holiday, or you rent a house because you have to stay there for study, you have to deal with rubbish, with garbage. You will be given a plan with all the times of the day when specific garbage will be picked up. When you walk around the city, Tokyo for instance, you won't find the proper garbage bin to throw everything you have to throw. You have to wait to, I don't know, get to the station or get back home to throw things away in a specific container. You really have to be respectful about this, because it's a very huge deal. Another thing that it's not really a must, but it's something that is really kind to do when you are there, is to reciprocate the bow. Japanese, of course, everyone knows, tends to bow for everything. So when you enter a shop, you will receive a nice bow, and when you exit the shop too, and when you are in the station, and when you are in the restaurant, it could be very nice to reciprocate the bow. In time you see that it's something that becomes very natural to do, because you are there and people bow to you, and so you also have to do that. And when you go home you will keep doing that for a very long time. For me it took months to lose the habit, and I will pick it up immediately as soon as I go back to Japan. Another thing that may seem obvious, but again, I'm Italian so it's not, is do not sit in reserved seat if you haven't reserved one, even if they're empty. This applies often when you use the Shinkansen, or when you travel in special trains that have the option to reserve a seat, so it's not something that will happen you in everyday life probably. When you buy a Shinkansen ticket, of course the reserved seat implies a higher price, and of course the non-reserved seat have a specific coach, and you will have to use that, and you will have to be very, very careful not to enter another area or sit where you're not supposed to, because it's very rude actually. You are not supposed to be there, you didn't pay for the extra, and you should respect that, and you should go in your specific area. Another thing that is often quite hard for European or American tourists to remember is to take off your shoes where required, of course. This may apply to houses. If you are invited somewhere, you have to take off your shoes. This applies also to some kind of restaurant, maybe the more traditional one, where they will have your shoes put in the locker and will give you specific slippers. And this apply also to temples and shrines. When you go visit a temple, for example, I don't know, I remember several temples in Tokyo, in Kyoto actually, you can visit an amount of them with your shoes on, but sometimes when you get to a more specific area, you have to take off your shoes and walk barefoot, because you have to respect the area and you have to keep the place clean. With all the tourists that go there, you have to be careful to respect this. Connected to this, when you walk in temples and shrines, they are amazing places, of course, so you will be tempted to remember of them the most you can and take an enormous amount of pictures, the most you can again. But you have to remember not to take picture to the inner side of temples and shrines. This is a huge form of disrespect. You cannot take picture or record video. Finally, I think that it's more like a suggestion, that not just you can do that, you cannot do that. It's a matter of, again, of kindness and survival. Survival, most of all. Learn some very basic Japanese. I know this sounds very strange, because you think, oh, shit, if I have to learn the language of any place I want to visit, it won't end. Yes, it's a little bit annoying, and maybe it's something that requires some extra effort, but I think that some very basic phrases, some very basic sentences may really help you there. Maybe in the station, if you are in need of help, I don't know, even for a doctor, or less complicated things like the restaurant or the hotel. Just the basics to be able to have an emergency request. You have to remember that Japanese don't speak English so much and don't speak it so well, so if you have a little knowledge, very basic knowledge of Japanese, like I don't speak Japanese, I need to go here, I need to eat this, I want to know where's the hospital, some very basic notion of the language, you will survive much better. And on the other hand, when Japanese people see that you are making an extra effort for communicate with them, you will find an extra amount of effort on their side to help you. So I guess all these tips fall into the category of common sense. Some are more general, maybe they can apply to any kind of travel, others are more specific to Japan. But I think the most important thing to remember, as I said in the beginning of the video, is to always remember that you are not in your home, and that you should treat the place that you visit even better than if it was your home. You have to respect the place, and even if there's something that you don't like that much, even if there's something that you feel odd or that looks strange to you, sometimes it's a sign of respect to comply with it, and it's a sign of kindness to accept the fact that you are a visitor there and you don't make the rules. And sometimes rules are to be respected, because you should travel better and you should travel understanding the place that you visit. I hope this video didn't turn out like a very, how to say, etiquette lessons, and I didn't want to sound very, how to say in English, maestrina. I really don't know, picky about these things. I saw a lot of people very rude and very indelicate and very annoying also for other people. I really hope this video could help you in some way, and I talk to you soon, and thanks for watching.